Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's Tempo Wellness webinar on ergonomics. My name is Vilma Huber. I'm a Tempo Wellness Coordinator for Bestmed, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you for taking the time to join the session. We hope you find it insightful and inspiring. Please feel free to ask any questions that you may have in the chat box, or we will open the floor for live questions at the end of the session. As part of our ongoing series in 2025, we will be diving into various topics to help you to up your tempo and thrive in 2025. We're so glad to have you here today for this very important session that will focus on creating a comfortable and productive work environment. We will gain practical guidance on how to set up a proper workstation, how to prevent injury, and to look at your posture and movement strategies, both in the office and remote work setups. Our speaker today is Wendy van Wyk. Wendy is a registered biokineticist and certified ergonomic risk auditor. She has 2 decades of dedicated experience within the health and wellness sector and now provides comprehensive ergonomic training, conducts detailed assessments, and delivers practical solutions through target product recommendations. So we're very honored to have her with us today. I want to take a moment to remind our Bestmed members of their Tempo Wellness Program benefits. As you guys know, this is a benefit that is available to all our members and the beneficiaries above the age of 16 years. It doesn't matter what medical aid option that you are on. You start off with your Tempo lifestyle screening that unlocks your benefits. And this can be done at a Clicks, a Dischem, a Van Heerden's pharmacy, a RNL pharmacy, the local choice clinic pharmacies, and selected Tempo biokineticists. Now, your benefits. It unlocks 2 consultations with a Tempo partnered dietitian, where you can go for a nutritional assessment and will help you with a personalized eating plan. And the physical well-being benefits, which actually gives you 2 consultations with a Tempo partnered biokineticist. And this gives you a fitness assessment and a personalized fitness plan. We also have the benefits of emotional wellness benefits, like these monthly webinars, and extra content is also available on the Bestmed webpage. If you click on what is Tempo, you will find emotional wellness content, you will find nutritional content, and physical well-being content, podcasts, how-to videos, and so much more. So, Wendy, we are looking forward to hearing what you have to say to us today. Please take over. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vilma. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I'm coming to you today from a very cold and stormy Cape Town. So yes, let's get cracking. So guys, today I'm going to talk to you about ergonomics, okay, and how ergonomics can improve your productivity in your workplace and in your everyday. So thank you very much for the introduction. That's me. I've been very blessed to be a biokineticist for the last 23 years. So I get to help people, and I got involved in ergonomics because I looked at trying to help people. I'm the posture police, right? I try and help people every day to try and strengthen the right muscles, stretch the right muscles, and trying to improve people's postural issues. But I found that people go back to a workstation where they're sitting, and we all sit too much, right? For hours and hours every day. And that worked against what I was trying to do. So we can't just look at what the symptoms are, we have to look at what the cause is, right? So that's how I got into ergonomics. And I've also been very blessed to work in the occupational health field, where I've taught in 16 countries in Africa. So I'm very happy to share a little bit of knowledge with you today. Right, so today, for Ergonomics Direct, So we are a team of healthcare professionals, and we do, as Vilmarie said, we do ergonomic training, ergonomic assessments, but we also provide solutions. So our tagline says health, comfort, and productivity. Yeah, we all want to be more productive in our workplaces. If we are happy and comfortable and healthy, we will be more productive. So very quickly, let me get the boring part out the way first. There is an ergonomics regulation in South Africa that was promulgated in 2019, and then COVID kind of paused that a little bit. But guys, there is a legal requirement with regards to ergonomics. So there has to be risk assessments done in the workplace. There has to be training done in the workplace. People have to understand what their ergonomic risk is so that we can prevent and eliminate it. For those that need it, there also has to be medical surveillance. Records of all of this must be kept for 40 years in the occupational health setting. And as employees in a workplace, those employees also have to understand what all of this means so that they can comply with it. And if things are not in place to protect their health and well-being, then they also should be able to understand how to report that. Okay, so that's in a nutshell what the ergonomic regulation says. And yeah, at last, it's really being looked at properly. 15 years ago, I worked in the UK, and I always thought we always are like 3 steps behind, but at last, we've caught up. So it's not really a new thing, guys. It's part of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. We have a beautiful Occupational Health and Safety Act in our country that looks at protecting not only employees, but also employers to ensure that when people are in the working environment, that their health is not affected. Okay? Right. So, quick overview of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to look at what ergonomics is and what it means. It's a fad word. We hear it all the time, but what does it actually mean? Then I'm going to look at your workstation setup. Guys, you're all sitting in front of your computers right now. Yeah? You're all sitting at a workstation somewhere in front of a monitor or a laptop. And I'm going to try my best to highlight what the things are that we look at when we're doing assessments. Why you possibly have neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, wrist pain, hip pain, whatever it is. Why you might have issues with musculoskeletal disorders. So we're going to look at posture. We're going to look at how important movement is, right? Our South African Biokinetics Association's tagline says, life through movement. We are not made to sit in static posture. So, and then also prevention. What can we do to try and improve our workstations? And I'm going to run through all of that. So let's get started. Please ask questions. Okay. Right, so what does the word ergonomics mean? When I say to people, what does it mean? They say to me, oh, your chair, or oh, posture, or so in a nutshell, ergonomics comes from 2 Greek words, ergon meaning work and nomos meaning principle or a law. So technically it means the science of work, right? So it's not a new term. It was coined in the 1800s, but when we look at ergonomics, there's 3 domains that we look at. Yeah, I'm going to try not to bore you with too much details here, but guys, all of these go together. So we've got to look at them together when we're looking at workstation setups and assessments. So there's 3 domains. The physical, which is the most important one that I look at when it comes to biomechanics and how you're interacting with your physical environment. Then there's cognitive, which is the mental part of it, so important. And then organizational is normally how workplaces are set up. So that looks at things like working hours, shift times, what people are exposed to for how long, and how an organization is set up to optimally ensure that people are not being fatigued by what they're doing in their workplace. So I'm just very quickly going to run through these 3. So when we look at cognitive, guys, mental well-being has never been more important. So if we look at the cognitive side of things, it looks at how we are processing things from a mental perspective. Decision-making, mental workload, stress. How are we, on a cognitive level, how are we coping on a cognitive level? Okay. So For instance, if you are in an environment where you're working way too many hours and you're sitting in an uncomfortable position where your back and your neck and everything is sore, do you think you're going to be productive, right? So cognitive, super important. The physical one is the one that we really look at mostly when we're doing assessments. But, oops, sorry. So this is looking at the biomechanics of it. We're looking at how you as a person are interacting in your working environment. Guys, we're all different, right? People are different heights, people have different body needs. And how are you interacting with your working environment? And today I'm going to talk about office and desks, but that is not only for office individuals when we look at ergonomics, even more important in the industrial setting, in the physical setting, where people are pushing, pulling, lifting, using tools and all kinds of things. So for today's purpose, I'm going to focus on right now that you're sitting in front of your computer and for the office and desk side of things. And the organizational is looking at how a company has set up all of these structures and systems when we look at things like design of work, shift times, how people's roles are set up with regards to how they're interacting with the environment. Okay, so those are the broad three domains. I'm going to focus today on the physical. So in a very quick summary, when we look at ergonomics, guys, at the end of the day, it is ensuring that we are fitting your workstation to you. Yeah, it shouldn't be the other way around. It's not one size fits all. And hopefully by the end of today, you'll understand exactly what I mean. And hopefully you'll take away that what can you change in your environment that's going to improve your posture and decrease discomfort and make you more productive. So I always love this slide when I say about reverse evolution. You know, we went to beautiful upright Homo sapiens, back down to hunched over our cell phones and our laptops, rounded shoulders, forward head, forward. Okay, and it's everyone, guys. We're not getting away from technology and devices, unfortunately, but there are things that you can do to decrease this, and we're trying to reverse that terrible posture by making small changes in the working environment. Ergonomics is everywhere. I laugh because I say I can't get away from this. I bought a can opener the other day. And on the can opener, it was like ergonomic design. I said to my family, oh my word, it's following me. But it is how we are interacting with different environments. When you're driving your car, guys, looking at car and motorbike designs nowadays, everything is more ergonomic. Think about the first car you ever had. I'm in my late 40s now, so I always think my first car, the tape deck was like down at the bottom. You used to have to search for that rock set tape and bend over to try and get to it. Where your window, when you rolled up your window, things weren't in an optimal physical position. Nowadays, just to give you an example, your chair can be adjusted in all kinds of ways if you have a nice car. Most of your controls are on your steering wheel, so you don't have to twist your body, you don't have to lean. You firstly safety, you're not taking your eyes off the road, but also not putting your body in a uncomfortable position. So, and when we look at desk ergonomics, it's the same thing, right? How you are interacting with all of the different tools that you have to use, that you be putting your body in the most optimal position. Cool. So, guys, when we look at why this is important, people are spending more time at their workstations than they are sleeping in their bed sometimes. You know, I always look at people today that are not only working in front of a screen all day, but then in their free time, they're gaming or they're on the computers after hours doing other things. And it just means that we have to look at, we want to prevent these nasty musculoskeletal disorders that are caused by being in front of screens or hunched over your cell phone. So we want to try and reduce those by improving posture and to try and obviously promote a better environment so that you work smarter and not harder. Okay? So, guys, the average office person sits 90% of their time in a sedentary position. We are not made to be in static posture. Whether you're sitting or standing at your workstation, you're still in static posture. And all these media campaigns nowadays that talk about sitting being the new smoking, because it's so harmful for you to be in that position. You know, guys, we all sit too much. So if anything that we take away from today is not just to set your workstation up properly or better, but to also be aware of how much you're moving in a workday. I say to all my clients and patients in my practice, you have to move every 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, and it's small changes. It's even just standing up for a little bit, or just changing your posture. Okay, in ergonomics we always say your next posture is your best posture, because you're actually changing it. It might not be perfect, but at least we're creating movement. Right. So I could go on for days about this, but guys, there's known effects of static posture. It affects us in many different ways, not only with regards to causing pain, but there's all kinds of other medical conditions that can be caused because you're just not active enough. And at the end of today's talk, I'm going to give you a little bit of statistics on the lack of physical activity. It's a real problem in the world. So just a little bit more awareness and a little bit more movement throughout your workday can really change your health. Right, so what are musculoskeletal disorders? Guys, if you're sitting in front of a desk in bad posture, there's different things that can cause what we call work-related musculoskeletal disorders. It's a soft tissue condition that can affect many different things, but let's think about you sitting in front of your desk, typing in front of your computer, right? What is a repetitive motion if you're typing in front of your computer all the time? Typing and mousing, right? If your keyboard's in the wrong position, or you have an old terrible keyboard where you have to type quite hard on it, if your mouse is in the wrong position, if you're not using an external keyboard and a mouse, that's causing repetitive strain because you're using muscles in the wrong way. Contact stress. Second one, if you're sitting at a desk, for instance, and your hands are higher than your elbows when you're typing, and you're squashing your arms onto the edge and corner of the desk, it affects your blood flow. If your chair's not set up properly and your feet are in the wrong position, and you're squashing the back of your knees against the front of your chair the whole day, that causes contact stress. Contact stress can affect nerves, it can affect blood flow. Okay, so we want to again position people in a better posture so that we're decreasing this. Awkward posture, that's everyone, okay? If you're not set up properly, you hunched over, you're looking down at a laptop or a phone all the time, you're twisting your body into an awkward posture because screens are not set up properly. All of these can definitely affect your comfort and cause pain. And then lastly, environmental factors, whether you're working in an office or from home, guys, these are things like temperature. If it's too hot or too cold, I'm sitting in a quite a cold room today, and I always say you can't concentrate if it's too hot or too cold. So when we look at office buildings, for instance, there's specific ranges that temperature should be for optimal office environments. Lighting is also important. If we look at glare off of screens, for instance, or how our eyes are taking strain. We're living in a world where young people of today are struggling with their eyes because from a very young age, they're using phones and they're on screens all the time. Their eyes don't learn to accommodate properly. So our visual health and visual function is super affected by devices and by screens. Okay. Yeah, so those environmental factors can also affect how we do our jobs, right? Cool. So all of these can all add up to what we call work-related musculoskeletal disorders, and correct ergonomics will reduce and even eliminate these. So just a few examples, things like carpal tunnel syndrome due to incorrect wrist and arm placement, tennis elbow from clicking on a mouse that's not set up properly, different kinds of tendinitises, painful back and neck conditions, and shoulder conditions. These are examples of things that we see if people's setup are incorrect. And honestly, I see more people coming to me with these conditions due to sitting at a desk all day than 20 years ago when I started, and the guys that came to us with with injuries and conditions where the guys that were physically working, picking things up, pushing, pulling. Nowadays, it's really more people that are in a sedentary position in front of a screen. Okay, our bodies are not as strong as they should be. Right, so it affects a lot. So, and if we look at, if you're sitting hunched over in static posture, guys, it affects the way you breathe. If you're sitting hunched over and your diaphragm's being squashed because you're sitting badly, it affects your breathing. If your body doesn't get oxygen to where it needs it, it affects everything, right? How our digestion functions. If you're sitting at a desk that's too high and you're hunching your shoulders up like this all day, we're stressed enough. So if those muscles around your neck area are like hunched up like this all the time, it can cause headaches. So it really affects our whole body. So setting our workstation up correctly and doing being more aware of how much we move can change all of this. So there we are. What can we do? So taking posture breaks every 20 to 30 minutes. Ladies and gents, I'm not saying every 20 to 30 minutes you need to take a break from your workstation completely, but small behavior changes really go a long way. If your cell phone rings, do you really have to sit in front of your screen like this and talk? Stand up for a moment, onto your phone, take a walk. Can we do a walking meeting instead of sending an email to one of our colleagues that sits on the same floor as us? You know, it's small changes where you just, for a moment standing up, that already makes a difference. So we don't want to be in static posture. Okay, I like to give my clients stretches and exercises they can do at their workstation, even in sitting position, so that we're creating change of posture and movements. So that's something I would love you to be more aware of and to really think about. Yes, so what is a self-assessment with regards to ergonomics? Well, if I'm going to go through the few checkpoints now from head to toe about your current workstation, I guarantee you there's something that you can take away from this and change after you've listened to this today. Okay, lovely. So, hybrid work, guys. Are you working in an office full time? Are you working from home 3 days a week? Are you working from home 2 days a week? Lots of companies have gone to the hybrid model. So we look back at COVID when 2019, 2020 hit, and it was the biggest work from home experiment the world had ever seen. And it's not going to go away. Some people will forever work from home. Others, I have seen quite a big trend in 2025 of people going back to the office, and companies that are incentivizing people going back to the office. As great as remote work is and all the benefits it has, excuse me, there are also benefits of going back to an office environment. So of course, people are able to work remotely. There's more opportunities to employ people that in other countries that can do jobs that they couldn't do before. But at the end of the day, it's not going anywhere, but we have to look at both environments. And normally when people work from home, their setup is not great. Okay, because they might not necessarily have the luxury of a good quality certified ergonomic chair. They might not have screens. They might not have proper desking. You know, people work in their coffee tables and they sit at the kitchen counter. So that does become way more of a challenge. So yeah, there's always going to be hybrid work. It's not going anywhere. Everyone's different here, but for your own situation, think about not only the office setup, but also your home setup. Okay, if you are working from home, where are you sitting? Right? When we look at small changes, just by incorporating a few of the things that I'm going to highlight, by lifting screens, by changing the environment, by changing the position, that maybe you don't have a window behind you where light's shining onto your laptop. So small changes really can go a long way, guys. Not everyone can afford expensive ergonomic tools. In a perfect world, we wish, but you can make small changes and it can hugely affect your posture. Okay. So again, so small things, I'm going to go through a checklist of head to toe. What can we change to improve posture? Okay, if you are working from home, just a few practical tips here. That you have a dedicated workspace, that you're not working on the couch or in your bed, that ideally that you have a proper desk, that you have a chair at least, that you're sitting in a position where that you're not putting your body at risk. In an ideal world, you would have at least a chair and a desk. Considering lighting and ventilation obviously is super important, minimizing distractions, and then again, taking regular stretch breaks, standing up, taking a walk. Sometimes people do work in environments where it's small, they don't necessarily have space to move and walk. But even, like I said, just standing up, doing a few stretches that you can do at your workstation becomes super important. Okay, so there we go. Stretching, walking, just changing posture every 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, trying to we are very pro standing desks or height adjustable desking, but just like sitting for too long is bad for you, so standing for too long. So again, it comes down to alternating posture, changing your position throughout your workday. Okay, so yeah. Guys, even research has shown that even 15 minutes a day of movement or walking can change your health. So we want to try and reverse all of these horrible conditions and health issues that people get from being sedentary, right? So movement is life, motion is lotion. Yeah. So when you're sitting at your desk, there's a few things that we're going to go through now from a head to toe perspective, but sitting comfortably and sitting correctly goes a huge way. So your back should be supported. Okay, you should be able to sit with your shoulders beautifully relaxed with an open posture when you're typing. That we're not forward, slouching, hunching over, looking down, putting our necks and our backs and our shoulders in a stressed position. And again, reiterating the movements, guys. Okay, can you see there's a theme here? Right. So let's quickly go through the different things that we have to assess when we're looking at our working environment. So, and this is not obviously only for focusing on office or desk environment. So guys, normally there's different parts of the workstation that we look at. So some people think the chair is the most important thing, that, yes, the chair is probably the most expensive part of your setup, and a good quality chair is super important. But the chair is just part of it, right? The chair is the centerpiece of your workstation. You can have the most expensive chair in the world, but if you're still looking down, hunched over to a laptop, or you're not using the chair correctly, it means nothing. So I'm going to run through the ideal adjustability features of a good quality chair. Not all chairs were created equal, I'm afraid. Right. Your desk itself, what's the height of your desk, guys? I want you to think about measuring that desk for me. And we have to look at the person's height versus the desk height versus the chair height to set it up properly. If you're sitting at your dining room table or at your kitchen counter, it's not the right height. Okay? It could be what's causing your neck pain or shoulder pain or back pain. Your monitors, oh my goodness. If you're on a laptop right now, my friend, you're probably sitting terribly. Okay, a laptop is not a good ergonomic tool. It has to be lifted onto something. You have to use an external keyboard. I'll get to that. An external keyboard and mouse should be used, especially with a laptop, but at all times, to improve your wrist's position and to try and open up your posture. And then when we look at lighting, guys, again, when you look at building standards and all kinds of things, there is a minimum requirement for office lighting. So if it's too bright or too dim, it does affect how our eyes focus on our screens. And also, when you have windows in your office, they should be perpendicular to your desk. They shouldn't be coming straight from the front, bright light, or straight from the back, because it affects how you see your screen. Or you should have blinds or curtains that you could close when there is excessive light. Yeah. And the opposite of that is when it's too dim. Thinking about my young people who are gaming on these massive screens with all this light, and then they have the room dark. It's so bad for your eyes, because now your eyes are having to adapt between light and dark and accommodate the whole time, and it really does affect our visual function. Right, so here we go. Think about your own workstation right now. Okay, so head to toe, this is normally all the steps that I would go through to assess someone's desk positioning. So first of all, we look at the desk height. Guys, I want you to take a tape measure after this presentation and go and measure the height of your desk. Okay, in South Africa, standard desk is between 72 and 75 centimeters. Now, standard heights does not work for everyone, especially my very tall and very short people. So I guarantee you, if you're working at a dining room table or a boardroom table, it's much higher than that. So we have to be able to put you at that workstation with your arms in the right position. So, and that means we have to look at that. Okay, so do you know what the height of your desk is? Secondly, how tall are you? Guys, standard desking it's for an average height person. So again, if you're super tall and now you're having to hunch over to be able to type properly, or which I more commonly see, is that people are too short for the height of their desk. If your hands are higher than your elbows when you're typing, you're creating contact pressure on the desk. You're hiking your shoulders up the whole day. So we have to look at those two in comparison to each other, and then also look at the height of the chair, because you've got to put your chair high enough so that your arms can be parallel to the floor, so that there's a straight line from your elbow to your knuckle. So can you adjust the height of your chair? If you do adjust the height of your chair and your arms are good, are your feet flat on the floor, guys? Where are your feet right now? Do you have them underneath you on the base of the chair? You're putting your knees in a shocking position. You're probably leaning forward. So our feet should be in front of us, beautifully supported. And if you have to put your chair higher to accommodate your desk height, then you probably need a footrest, okay, or something underneath your feet to help support your feet. So already you can probably make some changes. Right, the monitor heights. It doesn't matter if you're on a laptop or on a normal monitor, guys. The rule remains the same. I'm going to get to that in a next slide. But most people that I see, their screens are too low, and they're looking down. We're trying to get away from that poor neck of ours taking so much strain. And you speaking to a biokineticist here, I've had a disc replaced in my neck. Mine was from falling off my bicycle, but I've never been more aware of neck and head posture in all my life, because our heads are very heavy for this poor little cervical spine that has to carry it. If you're looking down all the time at your phone or down at your laptop all the time, your neck is taking an immense amount of strain. So the angle of our heads when we're on our screen is super important. So you want to lift your screen. Most people's screens are too low, so we've got to lift them higher. My multifocal users, okay, for you guys, it's a little bit opposite, and I'll get to the specs, but for my multifocal users, you don't want to do this. You don't want to sit there now and jut your chin out and look through the bottom of your glasses now to see on your screen. So guys, you've got to look at the height of the screen for optimal head posture. Then we also look at the keyboard, at the mouse. Where are they situated? Every single person that's listening to me right now should be using an external keyboard and an external mouse. Guys, if you're on your laptop and you're using the little trackpad on your laptop, you're putting your hands in an angled position. Okay, so we're trying to create beautiful open posture. So external mouse and keyboard is a must, especially for my laptop users. You're lifting your laptop onto a stand or onto books or paper, whatever, but always use an external keyboard and mouse. It creates better posture, right? And also on a laptop, the keyboard and the screen are too close together. Right. Next, shoulders and arms and wrist placement. When you're typing, your arm should be supported, your elbow should be underneath your shoulders with a nice relaxed open posture, which I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. Movement breaks, I've said it over and over, and I'll say it again, right? Movement is life. We have to try and incorporate movement into our workday. And then, of course, the other environmental factors, heaters, air conditioners, if it's too hot or too cold, and the lighting. That's important. And the other one that's also not always that applicable for the office setting is noise. Okay, maybe when you're working from home, noise could be an issue. Excessive external noise that's either too loud or that's distracting you from your tasks. Right. Okay. And while saying that, I'm now going to ask all of you, because now I've pretty much just after halfway of this talk, we've all been sitting now for the last 30 minutes. I'm going to ask all of you now to just quickly, let's do a quick posture change here together. We're all just going to stand up for a moment. Right, guys? Just standing up, and now you won't see me in the screen, but just standing up for a moment. Okay? Try and think you're dropping your shoulders down, you're putting your shoulders back a little bit. Okay, you're taking a nice deep breath for me, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just a moment, just standing up, just changing posture. Already, that's good enough. Okay, so it doesn't take that long. And people say, oh, I don't have time, Wendy. You do have time just to change your posture for a moment. Extend those hip flexors a little bit. Straighten your legs so that your knees aren't in flexion. Okay, I've spent 25 years of my life trying to stretch people's hip flexors and activate their glutes because everyone sits too much. We sit and eat, we sit and drive, we sit in Netflix, we sit in everything. Most adults are only upright for 2 or 3 hours a day. Think about that. Even my gym goers that say, Wendy, I train 5 days a week. You train for an hour or two per day, right? Right. Let's quickly break it down. So when we look at work surface, are you on an office desk that's between 72 and 75? Are you on a dining room table? Are you on a kitchen counter? Guys, measure the height of your desk. It's important because it can affect your posture. Most people, the desk is too high and they're sitting too low. Just to give you an example here, we don't use these tables anymore, but these are conversion tables to say, because people sometimes ask me, Wendy, how high should my desk be? It's very difficult to judge that because everyone's different. You can have two people standing next to each other, same height, but the one guy's got quite long legs and the other one's got a long torso. So we don't really use these tables, but just to give you an idea, South Africa standard desking between 72 and 75 when you buy a static height desk. Look at the equivalent in standing height for that range. Guys, it's for someone between the height of 1.8 to 1.87 meters. That's a fifth of the percentile of our population. So most people's desks are too high for them. So you've got to then put your chair higher to try and accommodate the correct arm height, so you're not hiking your shoulders up all day. So in a perfect world, we would like everyone to have a height adjustable desk, so we can put that desk at the right height for that specific person. Yeah, and we can't always just look for head to toe measurement because our bodies are all different. Okay? We're so beautifully created that our bodies are not all the same. So what is ergonomics again? It's fitting your workstation to you. Okay. And of course, the bonus of a height adjustable desk is that not only can we set it to the right height for your specific seated posture, but we can also easily alternate between sitting and standing. Yeah. Win-win. Right. So look at the height of your desk. Do we need to either raise or lower your chair to get your arms in the right position? Is your keyboard and mouse set up in the way that you can have your arms in the right position? Okay, guys, you know what I see all the time? Pet hate. The person sits and they put the paper in front of them and the keyboard past the paper. So they sit with a straight arm like this. We're trying to get away from rounded shoulders. So you should be sitting with your elbows underneath your shoulders. We want an open posture. So, and then can you change the height of your desk? Probably not. If you don't have a height adjustable desk available to you, guys, sometimes small changes by just raising the chair. If you're working from home and you're on a dining room chair, for goodness sakes, and you can't change the height of it, can you then at least put a pillow or something underneath you that you're sitting higher? There's always a solution. And I'm happy to help if you think, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm doing it right. Okay, guys, but the self-assessment part is important. If you take away from today one small thing, I'll be happy. Right, the correct chair. Guys, there's many different chairs on the market. A good quality ergonomic chair is one that is adjustable, and it should have all of the adjustability features. It should have a reclining and lockable backrest. It should have armrest adjustability. It should have seat pan adjustability. Does it have lumbar support? And then, of course, the correct height for your specific need. So not all chairs are created equally. There's a lot of chairs out there on the market that claim to be ergonomic and they're not. So selecting a chair is a very personal thing, and there are different options out there. Not everyone I know can afford an ergonomic chair. They're not cheap, but it is an investment, especially if your job requires you to sit for hours and hours and hours. Okay, it will change your life. So does your chair provide all of those adjustability features? And if not, can you add something on, guys? Sometimes you can just add a pillow behind your back, for instance, or add a pillow under you so to put you a little bit higher, so your knees and your hips are in the right position. So I know not everyone can afford an ergonomic chair, but there's always ways that we can make changes. Okay, very important. My laptop users, are you listening? Right, guys, here, listen carefully. This is the universal rule with regards to screen height. If you are not wearing multifocal glasses, your screens are the top of the screen are in line with your eyebrows. Okay, so your eyes are gazing down 5 to 10 degrees to the center of the screen. If you're wearing multifocals, you drop the screen down by 2 or 3 centimeters. Guys, the multifocal user, you know how it goes. We have to try and kind of get that right angle where you're not doing this. It's bad enough that people are looking down. Now we don't want people to now do this and extend the neck. So for the multifocal users, we definitely drop the screen a little bit. I do feel like it becomes difficult for people to judge. And something that you could ask your optometrist the next time you have your eyes tested is just to get a separate pair of computer glasses. They're single focal and they are made for computers. They have anti-glare on them. And then you don't have to worry about that, getting that intermediate or near distance adjustment when you're in front of your screen. Okay. The distance the screen needs to be away from you is between 60 and 70 centimeters, or it's an arm length away. So this is when your arms are in the right position, you're sitting in that beautiful correct posture, and your then screen then has to be a full arm length away from you. Guys, this is for optimal visual function. If your desk at home is extremely narrow and your screen's on top of you, you are straining your eyes. Okay, if someone's screen is too far away, sometimes they struggle to see, or the print is too small, and now they're leaning forward to see properly, and they're not using the backrest of their chair, and they're hunching over once again. So that's the general rule. If you're using multiple screens, which is most of us nowadays, do you have a primary screen? What I see every day is the monitor in the front of the person, and then the laptop is lower and to the one side. So what's the person doing all day? Turning the neck to the same side, looking down to the laptop, back up to the monitor, down to the laptop, back to the monitor, or even worse, the laptop is in front below the monitor. Now it's up, down, up, down, up, down, all day, repetitive strain. So your screen should be the same height and distance. I know it doesn't always work with the massive monitors, the curved screens, but for those guys, normally the laptop is just a docking station. I foresee in the next 10 years that we're going to move away from multiple screens. Everyone will have these big curved screens, and where you can put 2 or 3 kind of screen sizes on the one monitor. That's what's going to happen. But until that happens, if you have 3 screens, your primary screen's in the middle. The other screens are the same height, the same distance, so that your eyes can easily move between them and you're not having to look down or twist and they should all be kind of in front of you guys, so that you don't have one screen here and one screen there. I'm the whole time having to twist my torso and twist my neck to be able to see on them. Okay, again, everyone's different. It depends on how many screens, the size of the screens, and then we look at the correct placement. But there is a general rule for distance and height. So again, there's a lot of checks here that you can do. looking at those screens. Do you need to lower or lift your screen? Even the newer monitors nowadays, the brand new monitors, don't always come with the correct adjustability setting. I don't get it. I just bought a brand new screen and it wasn't cheap. And I'm not very tall. I'm 1.67 meters tall. And I still had to add an arm or a monitor stand so that the screen's at the right height for me. And I'm not super tall. So yeah, we have to look at, and there's ways that you can lift those screens. Guys, if you can't afford to buy a laptop stand or a monitor stand or a monitor arm, then you could always put it on top of some books or lift it somehow and ensure that that distance is the right distance. Okay. Sometimes, however, it does, if your distance that you have is way too short and the desk is too narrow, I'm talking about the depth of the desk, then another desk or different approach is needed, especially if the screen is extremely close to you like that, because it does affect your eyes. Right, arm positioning, we spoke about this already. So the open posture, you shouldn't have your arms like out to the side. You shouldn't use the keyboard and the trackball pad on your laptop, because that puts your arms in a horrible position. So an external keyboard that's beautifully compact and flat to create an open posture with a neutral wrist. Guys, you don't want to type with your wrists in extension. Okay, a lot of people buy the laptop stand, but then they're still using the keypad on the laptop, which means they're typing with their wrists in extension like this. I'm telling you now, it's going to give you carpal tunnel syndrome and tennis elbow at the same time. Yeah. So wrist positioning becomes important, and arm positioning. Yeah. Are you using an external keyboard? Are you using an external mouse to open up the posture? Are they placed in the correct position so that they're not putting your body in a restrained position? Adding a keyboard or a mouse, a pad is, or a wrist rest and a mouse pad sometimes really helps. I always joke about the mouse drifters. The later on the day goes, the wider that mouse goes out to the side. Okay, people slump and that mouse arm goes out wider and wider. Okay, I see more guys with shoulder issues because of mousing than because of playing squash. I'll tell you that. So, and then wrist alignment. Guys, listen carefully. Those little quickies on your laptop, on your keyboard, should never be up. I don't know why people put those little quickies on the keyboard up and then create an angle on their keyboard. I think it's because a lot of people can't touch type. That's a skill that every single young person in our world today needs to learn. Because if you can't touch type, you're inevitably looking down at your hands when you're typing. Again, putting your neck in a terrible position. So try, if you're going to purchase your next keyboard, try and do a nice flat keyboard that's compact. You'll see that keyboards today are very low profile. And that is to create a nice neutral wrist, so you're not extending the wrist out. Good. So yeah, then documents. I said earlier, people like to put the document between themselves and the keyboard and then type with a straight arm, or the document is next to them and now they're twisting and looking to the document. In an ideal world, we have a document holder or something that we can have the document on, that it's the same height as the screen, so that we're not looking down and typing off documents. I mean, nowadays, I guess with multiple screens, we're not as much working off of printed paper anymore, I hope, but some people still do. Okay, so just try and be aware of that. Right, reach zones. If your job requires you to answer, I'm going to use a simple example here. Just like in the car, you don't want to reach down to the rock set tape. At your desk, you don't want to reach or twist either. So I'll use a simple example. If your job is to answer the phone all the time and then type and take messages but you have to type at the same time, then firstly, anyone with a landline, it should be on your non-dominant side, so that when you're answering the phone, you can still write with your dominant hand. Okay. For most cases, I put it on the wrong side. It should be close enough to you that you can answer it without having to reach and stretch and twist your body. So, however, if someone's job requires them to do a lot of answering phones, or they work in a call center kind of environment, then they need a headset. that they can wear, they can answer, they can talk, and still type and mouse with their bodies in the correct position. Okay, so everything on the desk should be in a zone where you're not twisting, where you're not reaching, right? If that makes sense. So yeah, guys, just in summary, your feet should be flat and supported. If you're sitting on a chair, you should have the front, between the front of the seat pan and the back of your knees, there has to be a bit of space. Are your knees at least at a 90-degree angle, or ideally your hips should be a little bit higher than your knees when you're sitting? Are your arms supported when you're typing? Either you have a chair with adequate armrests, or you can get close enough that to your desk that your arms are actually resting on your desk. Your elbow shouldn't be hanging in mid-air when you're typing. Is your monitor or laptop raised to the correct height? And then is your screen at the correct distance? Guys, there's a lot of things to look at when we look at assessments for office, and everyone's different and everyone's environment's slightly different. What can you change? Right, so there's definitely benefits to improving ergonomics, guys. There's so many studies and statistics out there. Ergonomics makes a massive difference with regards to productivity and focus. It can also either prevent or completely eliminate musculoskeletal issues and physical conditions caused by incorrect posture and lack of movement. Taking many breaks. Guys, for your eyes, every 20 minutes, try and look away from your screen at a 20 feet angle for 20 seconds. Okay, and I say to my clients, take a break from your screen, and then what do? WhatsApp or Tinder. Yeah, don't look at your phone. Get up and look outside the window, right? Get our eyes away from screens. And then, yeah, the last little bit I'm going to say is that we're living in a world where, unfortunately, we can't get away from our devices. You know, I went to my first holiday in 10 years in April for my birthday, and I was like, I'm not going to be on my phone or my laptop or anything, but this is my camera. So I've still got it in my hand the whole time. It's terrible. We can't get away from our devices, and unfortunately, it's part of our jobs. Okay, so we have to somehow find a balance. And I know it's not easy, but finding ways and means to step away from screens is something that you need to think about and that only you can implement in your life. So disconnecting from our screens is something that is not easy to do, but it's something that we have to prioritize. Okay, boundaries and setting your phone to a do not disturb at night when you're sleeping, for instance, not falling asleep with the phone in your hand, not waking up and the first thing you do is go on social media. You know, it's there's small changes that really can go a long way with regards to that. And digital well-being is very important. You know, I was listening to a talk the other day where they spoke about when we didn't have phones, and I feel like I've turned into my parents overnight. Like I would say when I was young, I only got a phone for the first time in my 20s. And when you think about, we only heard about bad news or things that happened when we were sitting in front of the TV at night watching the news, or if someone's family member phoned and said, oh, there's been something. Now, when we're scrolling on our phones, we're seeing all kinds of bad news and things, bad news and bad, and like, things all the time that's upsetting us, and that's affecting our mental well-being, because it's kind of in our faces all the time, where it wasn't like that before social media, before cell phones. When we look at what cell phones are doing to our necks, guys, and I see this in my practice every day, we have to do postural assessments on people, and especially when we look at the kids, everyone's forward, right? So, and it's because of phones. Think about this. If you are looking down at only a 15-degree angle, you're already putting 12 kilograms of strain on your neck. So try and not be forward and down like that all the time. I was flying back from Joburg the other day, and I was watching people standing in the queue to board the plane. Because I was the only one up like this, like Captain Morgan. Everyone else was like this, standing down like this. The amount of strain you're putting on your neck is ridiculous. So it's cause of a lot of issue and tensions and upper back pain and neck pain and migraines and headaches. And so trying to improve that postural angle with our phone screens or trying not to be on the phone as much can make a big difference. So the idea is that we evolutionize our workstations to improve our posture. So there's a lot of small changes that we can make. And I'm happy to help if people have any questions. I'll leave my contact details at the end of this. I'm almost done. Just a little bit of, guys, as a biokineticist, to me, life through movement, right? So we can put people in the perfect posture at their desk. You can have the best chair and the best screens and everything set up perfectly. But if you're not moving enough, it's still putting your body at risk. So just to give you a little bit of insight here, these are World Health Organization statistics. Globally, 1 in 4 adults do not meet the minimum recommended requirement of movement. Guys, the minimum recommended requirement of physical activity is 150 minutes in a week. In a week, do the maths. Okay, if you can walk or take movement breaks or be a little bit active for 20 minutes a day, it's already going to make a difference. Okay, and the very last bullet here is also super important to me. I'm very passionate about children's activity levels and posture and going into schools and looking at what the kids' postures are looking like. And I think when I retire in 20 years from now, what issues these young people are going to have. 80% of the world's adolescent population is insufficiently physically active. Guys, it's shocking and it's worrying. So yeah, and I know we can't get away from it, and it's not always easy with regards to screen times and games and all of that stuff, but yeah, it is something to just think about and be aware of. Okay. Work-life balance. I wouldn't do a talk like this and it wouldn't be do it justice if I didn't bring this in. We are living in a world where there's just so much stress and so much unemployment and so many issues with regards to work, how much time we're spending in our workstations. It's important that we think about this, that there has to be a work-life balance. Okay, we are sacrificing our health to be able to make money, and then at the end of the day, guys, I see this every day, that people get older and now they've got to sacrifice all that money that they've made to recuperate their health, and they can't enjoy their retirement because they're ill and they have all these medical conditions that prevention is better than cure. Yeah. Right, so if you have any questions, you are welcome to contact me directly if you want to. Those are my contact details, especially with regards to any questions on setup or anything like that. And then if we could please ask you to give us some feedback after this. If you scan this QR code on the screen, technology again, is that's gonna take you, Vilma, maybe you can help here. It takes you to a screen to a few questions, I guess, just to give us some feedback on if today was helpful, if you've learned anything, please give us some feedback. And that
Thank
is
you,
me.
Wendy. Yes, thank you, Wendy. If our members can please just scan the QR code, it will take you to SurveyMonkey, where you can just select that you watched the ergonomics webinar and then what your feedback was. We would really love it. But I think we are all sitting and measuring our desk and adjusting our chairs and our heads and our everything already. I'm definitely more conscious of what it should be that I'm doing. How am I working? Because ultimately, you want to take care of yourself while you are as productive as possible at work. Because, without you, if you're not feeling well, the work will never get done. And to your work, you may be replaceable, but I promise you, for your family, you are not. So take extra care of yourselves, adjust what needs to be adjusted. Wendy, there was a few questions, but what I loved was some of our members started saying, I also have this, and this is what I do. That really helps. Like one of our members said she also has an ST joint issue. Sitting properly helped me more than a physio. I got lower back support for my chair and a footrest at the office. These two additional and sitting correctly in front of my desk helped me the most. So I love that.
Amazing.
Thank you, Janine.
Amazing. Yeah. And that's why I do what I do. You know, it's because I can see the change and I'm able to help people every single day. And small changes really do go a long way.
It really does. So I want to thank you, Wendy, for your time today. I know we didn't get to a lot of questions, but I think you answered a lot of our own questions while you were going through it. And I want to really
Hmm.
ask our members, take extra care of yourselves, adjust what needs to be adjusted. And Wendy did give you her contact details if you want to be in contact with her. And then also remember your tempo benefits. You can go see a biokineticist and you can say, I did see Wendy's presentation help me with what your joints or your hip pain or your back pain. I see my biokineticist regularly for my neck pain. So I know it helps. So please make use of these benefits. And then if you have any other
Okay,
questions, please remember.
I'm just quickly gonna zoot my details back on there. Just quickly take a screenshot of that. You guys, you're welcome to ask me questions. I'm happy to assist again.